Thank you, Steve, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. What a terrific conference we're having. I'm so proud of you, your engagement, participation, the conversations you've had, and the partying you've done. Excellent, thank you very much. The Kaylee was very successful. I must say I didn't expect to see so many people here already for 9:30, but you were there, so many congratulations. The innovation we have seen at the conference, the positive practice has been absolutely amazing. I think I met the youngest person here, who's Arabella, who's 6 months old, in the GP parent room. The college choir commenced the conference in great style, and of course we had the great Kaylee. And I also met more people from Leicester yesterday with more connections. It's incredible. It is not only the center of England, but possibly the center of general practice, but I know you will argue with me on that. So conferences like this are occasions to celebrate our undoubted achievements, but also to reflect on challenges ahead. From this conference, I've been thinking about 4 things, 4 questions as we leave this conference and go back to our practices on Monday. How can we renew the profession and the discipline so we feel confident and hopeful? I met many confident and hopeful people today who enjoy their work. How can we systematize that and spread that optimism? How can we reach out to communities and patients who are overlooked or bypassed? That's been an amazing emerging conclusion from this conference, because I think we've been underpowered collectively in the services about health inequalities. Now, how can you be the best you? Knowledge is advancing at a rapid pace. I went to the session on genomics, which I asked to chair personally because I have an interest in it. It's a new frontier in family medicine, and your college is leading the way on that. Fantastic. Cum Santia Caritas. The public expect us to respond to these changes. How can we be the best us at the time of this rapid change? The college can help you. And finally, I think a really important theme is about GP careers, GP well-being, and conclusion. The college cares about every general practitioner. We want you to succeed and thrive, but the profession is changing. The profession is very diverse. Your needs are very different, and they're changing. How do we change as a college to meet your needs? How do we reach out to GPs, just like our patients who feel overlooked or excluded? I'll be commenting and making remarks about these issues in my speech. But firstly, we must take pride in our work. And some GPs here, many GPs, told me, I'm proud to be a GP. You should be proud. Let's look at the achievements of general practice. 1 million people will go into their GP practice every working day. Over 90% of the work of general practice is done in the NHS, with only about 11% of the funding. 1.5 million prescriptions are issued every working day, with over 99% issued electronically. And in England, 57% through the electronic prescribing service. No paper, help sustainability, it's a green activity. 90% of practices in England rated good or outstanding by CQC at a time of crisis in general practice. 90% patient satisfaction levels. More than 9 out of 10 people who see a GP report trust and confidence. Research in general practice that's rated world-class. 1/3 of all practices involved in teaching undergraduates. The systematic use of computers and the electronic patient record. General practice is evolving, ladies and gentlemen. It's thriving in many parts of the country. It's responding to the challenges. It's making speed, and it's delivering an increasing range of services. But not just that, GPs are leading local national health bodies. They're leading universities. They're leading medical schools. They're appraisers. They have special interests, and they work in the out-of-hours service. None of this has happened by chance. It's happened through your good work, through the leadership of the college and other GP organizations, and the discipline of general practice, which is still in its infancy. You know, I love going into my work. Students, perhaps, or people in training may be thinking, what's in store for me in the future? But from my point of view, there's never been a better time than now to be a GP. We have epoch-making treatments, diagnostics, team working, smart patients with whom we can have shared decision-making interactions, computer systems that are generally really helpful and supportive, specialist access. It's an amazing time to be a doctor. When I graduated in 1983, most people with cancer died. Sadly, they died very quickly. Now most people with cancers survive. I think my job is harder than that of a neurosurgeon. I hope there are no neurosurgeons in this room, or if you're married to one, please forgive me, because we need good specialists as well. But take a typical surgery. These are patients I saw in a consecutive surgery recently. The child with fever, an old lady with abdominal pain, the person who felt tired all the time, a teenager with depression, the person with suspected septic arthritis referred to me from an urgent care center, a middle-aged patient with vomiting, a child with a drug eruption, the patient who survived 3 cancers, presenting with vague ill health, the person who feels terrible and cannot go on, the complex patient with multiple conditions on 16 different medications, booked in for a medication review. That was by the practice manager, because it was the end of the year for QOF. These are authentic patients that I saw recently in a surgery. That is scary. That is skilled work needed. I've had good training. I like to think I'm keeping up to date. I'm always reflecting. I don't always get everything right. But that requires an amount of skill, a high order skill of dealing with uncertainty and managing risk. But despite these good things, I'm sure you'll agree that not everything is as well as should be. So our workload has increased by 16% in the last 10 years without a commensurate increase in resources or workforce. Many of us work routine 12 hours a day. And what of patients? So Mrs. Smith is a frail old lady with dementia in a care home. She's actually dying and at the end of her life, but this is not recognized. Her default management strategy is hospital admission. During one admission, she has a fall and breaks her hip and dies in hospital. Mr. Jones has a rare condition. He's on a special medication. It's subject to shared care arrangement. But either primary care or the consultant services are unwilling or unable to prescribe this drug. He is short of the drug for 6 months and develops a serious complication. Dr. Raj is 62. He's really enjoying his work, but he retires. He says, I want to retire before I make a mistake, because the fear of complaints is terrible. So the wider health system doesn't really serve consultants, GPs, patients, managers. No one can be happy with the system of care. How can we be the best us, the best you in a broken system of healthcare that's underfunded, that's overheated? And we heard about health inequalities. Amazing presentation that we've just heard. But I give you a different slant to this. Julian Tudor Hart was proud of saying that he had the blood pressure recorded of every adult patient in his practice. But did you know that 5 million people in England have undiagnosed hypertension? 5 million people. And of those who have treatment for hypertension, 40% are suboptimally treated. The exceptional potential of general practice and the consultation. We have more work to do. And talking about genomics, 85% of patients who will be on our list, and they'll be in our systems, with familial hypercholesterolemia remain undiagnosed. The case for change is very strong, I would put it to you. And as doctors, we can't be happy with the quality, standards, and variation. So we need much better, stronger models of care. So this is the why of why change is needed. So what is the vision going forward? Well, we have the excellent work being done by Helen Stokes-Lampard, our chair, on the future vision of general practice. I do believe that that will offer us a vision that we can all buy into and can subscribe to. because it talks about the GP as the expert medical generalist. It talks about the GP as being a resource or consultant to much expanded and wider MDTs. It talks about the general practitioner and the practice being part of a system of care with other local practices and other providers. And it talks about GPs being part of a bigger picture of a system of integrated care. These are new concepts of the ecosystem. The GP works in an ecosystem of their practice, of their locality, of their federation, of their network, of the hospital integrated care system, community trust. Don Berwick said, "Do not ask, what do I do, but what am I part of?" Because Atul Gawande said, this is the century of the system. So the question for us strategically is, how do we add value to the system of care? Barbara Starfield has already given us a huge amount of information about this. So person-centered care, the 4 C's that we've heard about already. The King's Fund added a 5th C. You can see there's a surfeit of C's today because we had 12 C's earlier. But they added community care to continuity, complexity, coordination, first contact care, powered by academic general practice, and a new dimension to the future of mediation between specialists, generalists and specialists working together. Wouldn't that be wonderful? That's GP reimagined. What would that be like? What would that feel like? What would be gone? But I do issue a warning today that in the development of general practice at scale and other bigger models, we must be very careful to ensure that they are GP-led organizations. The emerging evidence, what little there is, suggests that physician-led organizations of collaboration are much more successful. We must step up to this plate, and already people are doing that, and we know examples of this at this conference. So how are we going to get to this place? So I've described the why, the what, how are we going to do this? Because we're in a complex world. Here I want to introduce another concept, which is the VUCA world. VUCA. Volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. It's very hard to steer when the world is like that. It's very hard to issue definitive diktats or visions because the world is ambiguous. What you need at a time of like this, and this has been studied, and there's a literature from leadership, is you need strong leadership. You need to discover your passion. You need to be bold. You need to use your talent. And you need to use all your talents, all our talents in this room. So how can we achieve this breakthrough? I would say it's for passion, the values, the 5 C's or the 12 C's that Graham established. I don't think you can go wrong with that. That's absolutely brilliant. And the college will support you in this endeavor. Let me just make a few remarks about the college. We'll be 70 years old in 2022. We're hoping to host the World Wonka Conference in London. We're bidding for that. We started in 1952. Our links with international colleagues are really important. We want to upgrade our relationship with Wonka Europe and Wonka World. And I want to pay a particular tribute to the Junior International Committee, many of whom I know are in the audience and do amazing work, and the leadership you show is absolutely stunning. So I care very much about the college. I care about the faculties. Thank you for those who have been here today. My interest in faculties started with my engagement and work in the Leicester faculty. We are unique amongst colleges because we have 32 local branches. So in terms of the future of the college, I'm undertaking a unique exercise called the President's Listening Exercise. The college is thriving, but we're not complacent. We're a progressive body, and we want your involvement in this. 6 issues have emerged from the PLE exercises that I've conducted. So this is with hard-to-reach groups or people who are ex-members or people who are in training or sessional GPs. The 6 issues are culture and diversity, value and meaning of membership, local services, the role of faculties, the future of general practice, and the future of the college. There is much to reflect on. Recently at the college, we launched an exhibition on the contribution of South Asian doctors to the creation of the local NHS in many areas of poverty where general practice was created. At this conference, I met Black British GPs, I met Polish GPs, and we want to have events through the PLE for Black British GPs, African Caribbean origin, and also doctors of European qualification, especially in light of Brexit, because I think it's very good that you have a voice within the college and we can understand your concerns. So there's much to reflect on. Historically, migrants have not been treated with the equality that we now take for granted and we strive for. Our society has not always got it right, but the college cares about every one of you. I care about every one of you, irrespective of your background, your race, your religion, your circumstance or employment status. I'm optimistic that progress can be made. And I speak to you today as the son of immigrants who could not speak English, the first person to go to university in my family to have become president of Britain's largest medical Royal College. So the college is thriving, but it's not complacent. If you contact me and talk to President, I'll issue you with the President's Guide on how to get involved with the college. There are many, many opportunities to do so. It is your college. Please participate in that. So, in conclusion, my question to conference is, will we choose to care, champion the values that we have fought so hard to establish? This is necessary because look at the chaos of modern medicine, the risk averseness, the polypharmacy, the iatrogenic effects of healthcare, too much medicine. Our hospitals are full of people who should not be there, and in many cases, they are being harmed by their admission. For example, people with frailty and dementia. So what role do we want to play in the future? Do we want to be spectators, or do we want to be on the pitch or the dugout? What's our ability to drive action? I want us to make things happen because patients need our care, but they also need our clout. So everyone can play their part. So I'm going to ask you, what are you going to do as a result of this conference to promote the discipline of general practice, to promote the career in general practice, to promote research, to promote leadership? Explain to everyone you meet the value and the role of a general practitioner, the value of generalism. Everyone can play their part. So in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask for your help. Lots of changes lead to big outcomes. We can all do something, and I would recommend to you the President's 3-point action plan. Be the best doctor you can be. Be on the side of patients, their needs, and help us shape the future. Because today is a brilliant opportunity to secure the future of general practice. If anyone can do it, you can do it. Thank you very much.
That's fantastic, fantastic, well done. Thank you, Mayur. It's been a joy to hear from you and from all our speakers today, and to celebrate the wonderful clinical research that continues all around us every day as GPs. Now, when you return to your practices on Monday morning, I hope that some of the many inspirational messages and themes of the conference will stick with you and energize you for the vital work that we'll all do next week, next month, and in the year ahead. Well, that's it for RCGP Conference 2018 in Glasgow. I'd like to offer my warm thanks to the conference organisers Haymarket, our sponsors, exhibitors, and the staff here at the SEC. And finally, most importantly, thank you all for coming, and I hope to see you next year in Liverpool. Have a safe journey home. Thank you so much.